Hey y'all, welcome to the Spray Wash Academy and Spray Wash Pro. Today we're going to talk a little bit about losing bids. Did you lose a bid, and how do you find out why you lost that bid? Okay, so we're going to cover several things. So let me just go over a brief thing here. We're going to look at asking about why you lost the bid. We're going to look at things like pricing. A lot of people think it's the price, and it may not be. So trying to find out why you lost the bid is important. Personality, things that are hard to read. Did you offer too much stuff? Did you take too long? Did you move too fast? Did you have the right experience, or is your price too high or too low? I'm going to cover that kind of stuff. Is it just boiling down to you didn't have the right insurance? Did you not follow the rules? Is it based on an honesty or a trustworthy thing? Did you show up? That's a big factor in some of these bids. And this can be residential or commercial. I'm going to go over both residential and commercial in this. Did you offer any references and how to get those references and coaching those references a little bit? Showing the extras that you're going to do. Did you do that? Did you talk to them about it? Did you go over the scope? Did you listen to what the scope is? These are all things we're going to cover. Is there a difference between you and the other company? And if not, then it typically might boil down to price. We're also going to cover learning from losing bids to be able to help you win bids later on. We'll cover some of that. We're going to talk a little bit about safety, using safety to help you win the bids. We're going to talk about punctuation. We're going to talk about following up with clients in different times. There's different levels of follow-up that you're going to want to do. Again, learning from the lost bids, asking about a budget. Sometimes you can do that. We're going to cover that. We're going to talk about the little Prius or Cadillac. What is it that they're looking for? Okay. So again, I want to clear this up, that most of what I'm going to talk about can be either residential or commercial. Though I'm going to be leaning probably more towards the commercial side as I go along, a lot of this can be applied to the residential side. So let's go ahead and get at it. So again, we're looking at bids, losing bids, and do you know why you lost a bid? Because if you're going to grow and you're going to, if you put in 10 bids on hotels, and you don't win any, and you just keep bidding, you have no idea why it is that you lost those bids. How are you going to eventually win one? Most people are going to drop in price, and they keep going down and down and down, and then they're like, man, I bid $10 on that 10-story hotel, and I still didn't win. That's because you don't understand why it is that you've lost the bid to begin with, and so you need to understand that. In order to do that, you have to have good information. So it's a matter of where do you get that information. We're going to cover that just a little bit here. Good info is something that maybe the property manager or the homeowner is going to give you. It's direct from the horse's mouth, as they say, and it tells you why it is that you didn't get that bid. And sometimes you've got to try to finesse in there to get that information. Sometimes you can ask, and here's a key point, you have to ask. If you don't ask, and what are they going to tell you? Well, no, I'm not going to give you that information. Great. You're no harm, no foul. Not that I'm always going to ask, and if it's a client that I've done a lot of business with or whatever, or they routinely go to bid, and I try to build that little bit of a relationship, and then I can ask, and sometimes it's how you ask, and again, if they say, let's just say, for example, that you're bidding on a hotel, and you don't win the bid. And so do you email them? Do you call them? And do you just say, hey, do you mind if I ask why, what the lowest bid was? And a lot of times they won't tell you, but sometimes they will. And if they won't tell you what the lowest price is, you can there's other ways to find out. You just have to finesse it a little bit, okay? So one of my biggest and best clients happened that way. In the bidding process, I was able to ask him, well, what was the winning bid? Oh, I can't tell you that. Okay, great. And I think the bid was around $15,000 or something to that nature. And so I asked him. I said, well, okay, well, you know, are we like $300,000 over, or are we like $5 over? And you know, I played a little bit of a game with him. He's like, no, nowhere near $5 grand over. And to be honest with you, it was, you know, you were a good bit more than that $5. Okay, great. So I mean, so really, was I like $2 grand over, or was I like, you know, 300 over? And I boiled it down to a very narrow margin, and I was able to get the information that I needed that helped me win the contract down the road. And that contract was worth a good bit of money for a very long period of time. We keep our clients happy and satisfied. So anyhow, asking the simple questions of why, you know, why did I lose? Was it based on, and again, let me back up here too and say, if they say, I really can't give you that information, one of the great ways to help get that information is to ask them for help. And what I mean by that is, you know, hey, Mr. Property Manager, really what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to figure some things out here, and can you just help me out by answering a couple of questions? And like, was it something solely based on price, or was it an insurance issue, or was it just something else out of my control? Do you mind me asking that? A lot of times people will help you if you're being genuine and sincere, and I'm just looking for this little bit of information. And though they may not be able to give you a direct answer, they can point you in the right direction. You know, it really wasn't based on price, Doug. You had the right insurance. Honestly, I think it really just boiled down to experience. We didn't feel you had the right experience, okay? Or no, we felt you were very qualified, really loved the way you put things together. However, it just simply boiled down to a price point, and you know, you were a good bit over, or you were a little bit over. You have to listen to how they say and what they say as well. If somebody says it was really just boiled down to price, I mean, everything was really close, that's giving you very valuable information that if you're not listening to, you're missing out. So if they're saying you're close, well, then you're very close. Your numbers were right there, and you know that you're very close. If they say something like, well, you're pretty far off, well, then you know that you need to adjust. All right. The next thing is, you've called and asked. Maybe it's published. If it's a like a state bid or something like that, a lot of those are actually published. They have to take the lowest and best bid, and it is a published thing. You can get that, right? You can ask them for it. You have to ask them sometimes in writing by email. You have to ask them, I would like to know who won, and they'll give you the list, and it'll tell you everybody's bid. Doug bid this, Jimmy bid this, Tommy bid this, and Bill wanted it at that, and it'll tell you what it was. So most people think it's the price, and it may not be. So let's cover some of that. Sometimes, if it's not like a large government contract or something, let's say it's a hotel or it's a residential thing, it can even boil down to personality, right? Your personality can change the outcome of bids on a regular basis. If you go in there and you are stuffy, arrogant, whatever, most people aren't going to like that, and they just don't want to work with you, and that's it. So having professionalism or speaking clearly and not using vulgar language, even if they're dropping F-bombs like crazy, maybe it's a good thing, maybe it's not a good thing, maybe it is time for an F-bomb, maybe it's not. You have to get to where you understand people as well and build a relationship with them. If they're dropping F-bombs like crazy, they're probably looking for somebody that's also going to drop an F-bomb. I'm not big on that kind of thing, and I can work around that. So it is a matter of personality in a lot of instances where you're not dealing with government contracts and such. So you go in, you have to be able to make a connection. One of the ways you can make a connection, let's say it's a residential job, you pull up to their house, and in front of their house they have an LSU sign. Talk about the game a little bit. It's not just about what you're doing, it's about you and your company and your relationship with them. So you can do that simply by looking around, simply by, they have a graduation sign out, mention that, right? So you got a child graduating, hey, my kid graduated last year, or my kid's graduating next year, or whatever it is, build that relationship with them, okay? So personality is something that can help or very much so hinder you in the bidding process, in winning the bids. Was your bid hard to read? Okay. I think that's another very key point. If you're not making things clear to the client on what you're really doing, that opens up the, well, I really don't know what they're doing. Or if you write something, and let me do this. I'm going to write something real quick. I'm going to write it with a different pen because I don't like the way that one is. What does that say? I don't know if it's going to come in. It's coming in backwards. Anyhow, if your handwriting sucks, look at doing something different. Okay? If they can't read and understand what you've written, you're probably not going to get the job either, unless it's something you're face to face with and can explain to them. So make sure that what you send them is easy to read. It's not something that's hard to read. If you're there in person and you're giving them an estimate on site, okay, maybe you're dealing with the wife and you write the estimate down and you give it to her, and she takes it and shows it to her husband, and he's like, what does that say? What does that say? And she's like, well, I don't remember. I think he said this, or I think he said that. You might lose just because of handwriting. Maybe you take a handwriting class. Sorry, but think about it, okay? So things that are hard to read. Are you offering too much stuff? Those of you that know me know that I'm really big on packages and doing things, giving them options and things of that nature, but there is such a thing as too many options and putting too much information in there. And it just, sometimes too much becomes confusing. So don't give away too much, don't ask too much, don't try to keep things in a good, understandable format, right? Be clear in what it is that you're doing. Don't throw in too much sodium hypochlorite, apple wash, and roof snot, and they don't necessarily care about all that stuff. Unless it's a commercial job, then you might send them the MSDS sheets, but don't get into explaining sodium hypochlorite and all these kinds of things. Don't get into all these big words and going all over the place. Don't offer too much. Don't confuse them in, I have no idea what trimisculitis sulfate dioxide is. Okay, don't do that. Okay, because most people are not going to know. Now, if you're dealing with Shell Chemical Corporation and they know exactly what all those chemicals are, sure, you're gonna, maybe you do explain those things a little bit. But really, even then, I wouldn't explain those. I just provide them with the MSDS or the SDS sheets, and then they can look those over themselves. So not too much stuff. Sometimes losing a bid, you've either taken too long or you didn't, or you acted too fast. Okay, sometimes just by being the absolute first one to put a bid in wins. Okay, but if they ask you for a bid, and it's a good thing that, like on a let's say again it's a hotel, and they say we would like to get a bid to wash this 4-story hotel. Great. Ask them if there's a deadline. Okay, it's okay to do that. How soon would you like this bid? That's the easiest way. How soon would you like this? Is this next week is fine. Try within a day or two to get them that bid, okay? If they say, we're accepting bids from January 1st to January 3rd, turn your bid in on January 1st. Don't be that guy that waits till January 3rd, okay? If they're dealing with 1 bid or 30 bids, the one that's right there in front of them, fresh in their mind kind of a thing. So don't take too long. But also don't snap bid unless you're there in front of them, okay? Then, and you can come up with a process and you can give them a bid right then. That, to me, that's the best, if you meet with them and can give them a bid. But sometimes you explain to them, normally I would give you a bid right here, right now. There are some things I need to check out. I need to check on lift prices and this kind of thing, and then I'll get it to you. Do those very, very quickly. Get them a response very, very quickly, okay? You don't want to be too fast. Well, yeah, unless you're extremely knowledgeable, you could, but I'm within 24 hours is where most bids I think should be, unless it's a really large, complicated bid, and it's a multi-unit property or whatever, and there's a lot of different variables to it, and they want concrete, and they want this. But if you're going to take several days to get them their bid, or you're going to take a week, explain to them why. Or send them a follow-up email. Hey, Doug, I just want to let you know I'm still working on the bid process. We've gone ahead and we've measured up all of the sidewalks and all the parking lots. We're working on the buildings right now, looking at the decks and that sort of thing. Should have this done for you in a day or two. You know, follow up with them. Show them that you're physically working on their project for them. Sometimes it boils down to experience. Okay, so are you giving references? Do you have the experience? And this is also where pricing comes in. Most guys that don't have experience, where do they go? They boil it down to price. That's it. Okay. Oh, I really don't know. I really want this job. I need this job, so I'm going to come in at $99. Okay. We all talk about the $99 guy. So they come in at this low price. The right property manager sitting there looking at the price, especially if he's getting multiple bids or he's had work done before, he's had his building cleaned 5 times, he knows that the average price is $5 grand, and you come in at $1 grand, he's going to be like, whoa, wait a minute here. $1 grand? This guy probably doesn't know what he's talking about. Okay? So you have to get past that experience. Another one of my best, well, not even another one, my best, very best customer, very, very best customer, I came in too low. I had to explain to him why I came in so low. Okay? Big dome roof, and it was the project, and they would get it washed about once every 3 years, and it pretty much looked like crap every time it was done. And the point was, it would take them about 2 weeks to get the job done, multiple guys on the roof, pressure washing, you know, dragging all these hoses up there, and it took them 2 weeks to get the job done. You know, and so when I came in with my bid, which was about $10,000 under what they would normally pay, he was like, you know, and I had to explain to him, and I knew this up front, because when I was interviewing him, that is something else that you should do. You should interview them as you're going through. Okay, as I was interviewing him, I got that, hey, it took them 2 weeks and multiple pressure washers and all that. Okay, that all adds up to labor and cost and all that, and I had that discussion with him. You are probably way overpaying because there's so much labor involved. There is a better way and a better process. That better way and that better process is what brings us to that lower price point. So it's okay to be low or lower, but that's the normal cause. If you're going to come in super low, it's because you don't have the experience in the mindset of a lot of property managers or a lot of people. So explain to them why it is that your price point is where it's at, even if it's on the high side. Explain to them why it's on the high side. These are reasons that you lose bids, and if you don't know the reason, you can't work past there, right? So try to learn what that is. Not having the right insurance. If you don't have the right insurance, and this is something that you have to ask, are you giving them the right information to let them know, here is what it is that we need, okay? We need $1 million policy. And look, it's not just about having a general liability policy. You got to provide them with your auto policy, okay? Your workers' comp policy. If you have an umbrella, all these different things that you need to give to them, make sure that that's what they want, or that's what they need, or that you're meeting their guidelines. Some people may have a $300,000 policy, but the bid requirement for that company is a minimum of $500,000. So you have to talk about those. And it is okay sometimes to say, I was reading that you require a $500,000 policy. Currently we have a $300,000 policy, but we are willing to increase that policy to meet your needs. Okay? So sometimes you can get over that hurdle simply by letting them know you're willing to go over that hurdle. So not having the right insurance is a good way to lose jobs. Not following the rules. Okay? This isn't something necessarily on a residential property, but more on commercial jobs or RFPs, requests for proposals or requests for quotes, where they'll have rules. We want it done in this format, this way, and you start reading that and you're like, this is stupid. They want me to do what? Okay, that's stupid. I'm just going to give it to them this way. Okay, you just lost the job. Even if you were the best qualified, the best price, whatever, if you don't follow the rules, you're going to lose the bid, period. They have a process or a procedure that you have to follow. If you don't follow that, then you can't win. It's impossible, okay? So follow the rules, ask for clarification. If they put something in there that doesn't make sense, email and ask for clarification. The odds are you're not the only one if it's in a large bid situation. Even doing simple things like not walking through the front yard, if it's a residential job, walk up the walkway or ask to step into the plant, the bush area or whatever to look at a downspout. They're just common rules, some of them unwritten, but follow the rules of whatever the proposal guidelines are. You've got to follow those rules. Honesty and trust. How will it look? And plant the seed of doubt, okay? So when again, this doesn't matter whether it's commercial or it's residential. When you're looking at something like this and you're giving a bid, and always be honest and sincere. One of the things that I do to make sure that they know I'm being honest and sincere is, let's say there is a rust stain, just pulling something out. Let's say there's a rust stain on the front of the building right there. And you address that rust stain. And you're saying, look, I just want to be honest with you that rust stain right there, we can get that out, but because of the color or because of this or whatever, that area is probably going to lighten. So what we should do is an entire square or this is what we should do to get rid of that. This is the best way to approach that. The reason I say that you're planting the seed of doubt is that if the next guy comes along, you've mentioned that rust stain, well, this property manager then might ask about the rust stain, okay? Are you going to address that rust stain? Oh, yeah, we'll take care of it. No, we don't deal with rust, okay? So, or you've educated them on what the process is or what's going to happen, or that this may lighten this area, or this may do this, or let's go to it's oxidized. That's a really good one, actually. If the paint is heavily oxidized and you let them know that, and you say, if you use too much pressure, you're going to cause these strikes and these streaks and all that. There's a process to remove that. You have to use this or you have to do that. You're educating them, and you're literally putting a hurdle in front of the next contractor, or you're planting a seed of doubt if the other contractor doesn't know or doesn't address those issues. If again, just going back to the oxidation thing, and you show them, you do the finger test, see, you wipe it, you plant that, okay? The next guy comes along and he's talking about his process or whatever, and he doesn't show them. You've planted a seed of doubt. Well, you didn't mention the oxidation. Do you know about the oxidation? You've planted that seed of doubt, okay? Honesty, trust, integrity, all those kinds of things, planting the seed of doubt kind of helps out with that. Do you answer the phone when they call? When sometimes you're losing bids, residential, commercial, doesn't matter. You're losing the bid simply because you didn't answer the phone. Answer the phone, okay? Go out and meet them, especially if it's a commercial job, or at least let them know that you are going out to look at it. I'm physically going out there and I'm looking at it tomorrow. I'm looking at it today. Let them know you're physically going out. Is there a contact person that I should see when I'm there? Don't just drive by the building. Let's say, again, it's a hotel. Don't just drive by the hotel. Stop in at the front desk, ask to see the manager, let them know, hey, I was contacted by Doug. He said about having, cleaning the building. Just wanted to make sure that you knew I was there. Here's a couple of cards for you. Please let him know I stopped by, okay? Do your walk around. If he hasn't met with you, he now knows you're there. And not only that, but the property manager or the building manager is calling the property manager and saying, hey, Doug with Spray Wash Academy was out here today. So let them know that you were there. References. Do provide a list of references. Okay, you should do that, especially on commercial projects. The problem is sometimes people don't know how to give the right reference. So you have to have a way to finesse and coach them on how to do it, right? You call them, hey, Doug, I'm getting ready to put a bid in on this three-story hotel. I know we did your hotel the last time. I think you were extremely pleased and satisfied with us. If you could just make sure that you mentioned to them that we covered this or we did that or we did this. Hey, I really appreciate your time, okay? So you can kind of coach them on that or ask them for the written reference, right? And in the written reference, say, hey, do you mind addressing this in the reference? Send it to them by email so that they know what it is that you're looking for, okay? Having references really can be very helpful for you landing those bids, by the way. Let them know about the extras that you do. Again, another a really good client. And I'll say that a lot. If you ever listen to me talk, I'll talk about good clients and long-term relationships with those clients. And I've done certain things to build those relationships. One of the things that I've done previously is videos. On some of the larger bids, I've taken walk-around videos. I try to keep them to under 5 minutes, okay? But walk-around videos, and I explain the things that are going to be cleaned and the problems, okay? Especially if I can't meet somebody at the property. Because sometimes it's going in front of more than one person. There might be a committee, there might be, a board, there might be, an HOA association, and this HOA has no idea. I mean, they're just looking at something on paper. So by sending them a video of what it is that you're going to do, first of all, we're one-on-one. You know me, okay? I can walk into some place sometimes and people will know me. I don't know that they know me because of the videos, right? So personalizing that, becoming personal, but then also showing them the little extras that you're going to do. And the one that pops into my head the most was a church job I did. And again, I built a very long, great relationship with this church. And I won the bid over others, even though I was higher, because I sent them a video of what it is that we were going to do, what it is that we were going to do, why it is that we were going to do it. And I took a picture of a sign, and that sign was a handicapped parking sign. And it was just filled with algae. It was all green and nasty looking. And I took that, I put that in the video and said, we look beyond, okay? We're going to take care of the little extras. And that is what landed me that job, to be honest with you. So show them the extras, talk to them about the extras, that kind of a thing. Make sure you understand the scope of the job. Even if it's a residential thing and you're doing the walk around with the customer, or you're talking to the customer on the phone and they say, yeah, I don't want the driveway done. And they're adamant, I don't want the driveway done. I do the driveway myself. Don't include the driveway, okay? I like to put everything in there. I like to give them a good package, okay? And I'll put the driveway in. But if they're specifically saying, I don't want that, if you're putting that, you're going outside of their scope, okay? On the other side of that, if you're doing a hotel and they say about windows, you need to address that. You need to make sure you're following the scope of what it is that they want to have done, okay? Make sure that you listen to the scope, or you read the scope, follow it, and get it all in there, okay? Let's see. If there's no difference between you and I, okay, if they see us as no different, then it boils down to price. Okay, a lot of times they're going to say price. That's where personality comes in. If they just like me better, they see no difference. Your company and my company have been in business for 50 years. Great. Your company and my company have done 50 billion story buildings. We have the same safety record, all of these kinds of things. Then it's going to boil down to price and or personality. Who do they like better? Okay. If it's not a thing, then it becomes price. And even if our prices are the same, then it becomes personality. So those are the things you've got to remember. Again, I like to keep bringing up that you need to learn why you lost the bid. Learning why you lost the bid is what's going to help you in your future bids. But you have to get to the point of understanding why you lost your bids. And I hope in this video, you kind of learn a few things to maybe ask, and to go back and ask, and to go back and say, hey, did I lose it because of... Try to get to that understanding of why you lost it, because a lot of times it's not just on price. Even if you win the bid, let me do this. Even if you win the bid, you can ask how you won the bid or why you won the bid. You don't want to get too carried away with that. But hey Doug, I really appreciate being awarded this job. You mind me asking what it is that I know that you got like 3 or 4 bids. What is it about our bid that won us this job? I just want to make sure we're doing the right thing, that we continue to do the right thing. Okay, those kinds of things. So it's okay to ask. Safety. Don't forget to mention safety. Okay, safety is a biggie, especially on governmental jobs or different, like even hotels. Hotels, their concern is going to be about the safety of the people going in and out, right? Of their patrons, right? So address that. Hey, I noticed you've got this over there, and this could be an issue. So you got the swimming pool, it's the middle of summer. Are you going to have people out? When's the best time? Because I want to make sure I'm keeping everybody safe. So I want to address cleaning this side of the building while nobody's outside. Okay, when is the best time for me to do that? Can you close the pool for a few hours while we clean over here? Address safety. Another thing is, if you see things on the property that are hazards or whatever that don't involve you at all, mention those, bring them up, take pictures, send them to them, that kind of thing. Make sure that you address safety in your bid process. Punctuation and wording. I'm going to tell you another thing. Sometimes I think that's a killer. I see things sent to me that, you know, I just look at it and I'm like, I'm not a big guy on punctuation. I don't know how to spell everything correctly and put the comma here and the exclamation point. I don't know all that. But a Word document does. Okay, it's very simple to take everything that you've written, load it into a Word document, and then copy and paste it back into your bid. The reason is it'll tell you where your errors are. Fix those errors and then put them back in. Okay, because some people aren't going to care, but you're going to get those people that do. And especially if you're dealing with multiple people and multiple personalities, that's something that's going to that could help you in that process. Just take it out, put it in a Word document, figure out what you did wrong, put it back. Follow up even after you sent them the proposal. Okay, there's several follow-ups that you can do, but in the follow-up, after you send them the proposal, give them about 3 or 4 hours. Call them up and say, hi Doug, just wanted to make sure you received the proposal we sent you. Don't try to sell them anything at that point. Just confirm that they received it, okay? Stick it in their brain that you've followed up, that you've done that, okay? Now you followed up, great. Hey, no Doug, I definitely got it. I see it right here. A lot of times it might go to their spam folder. You've sent it and then you never hear from, oh, I lost that bid. I lost it. Man, I've sent them 20 bids. I've not won one of them. Man, that company sucks. But what you don't realize is that every bid you sent went to their spam folder. They never got it. They never saw it. If you don't follow up, you don't know. Sometimes you can get to winning a bid simply by asking what the budget was, okay? Or what the budget is. And this is where I get into my Prius or Cadillac thing. I will sometimes ask somebody, is there a budget involved here? And a lot of times they'll say, well, yeah, we can't tell you what to bid on this. No, I'm not asking you for that. I'm asking you if you're looking for a Prius or a Cadillac, or if there's a budget that we're trying to stay within, because I see you have oxidation over here. I want to make sure I address it, but there's an added cost for doing that. So I just want to make sure I stay within your budget. So that's kind of why I was asking that. You know, if you don't have one, that's great. I'll just go ahead and I'll write everything up. I'll itemize it out, and then you can make the decision from there. Sometimes they will absolutely tell you, yes, the budget for this is about $15,000. The budget for this is $1,000. You know, my wife and I were hoping not to spend more than about $200 or $300. Great, not going to work. You know, those kinds of things. So ask those questions to get you to where you were. I think I've gone on for about a little over half an hour now. Didn't mean to take up too much of your time, but I want to make sure you understand. Sometimes you lose a bid, and it's not based on price. And you need to get to finding out why you lost the bid in order to win your next bid. I hope that has helped y'all. And remember, Spray Wash Academy, Spray Wash Pro, click on the subscribe button. There you go. Anyhow, I appreciate y'all, and thank you.